Okay, let's give it another few minutes. Nobody emailed me that they can't come today. Oh, there's Terry. Hi, Terry. Hi. So I apologize that I didn't get out any of the recording for Birkat Hamazon that I wanted to. So hopefully I'll get that out this week and then we can review it next week. So I better do it tonight because I have, actually tomorrow night I don't have anything, but every other night this week I have plans. So it's one of those weeks where it's taking over.
Okay. Are the kids back at school?
Yeah, they went back early. Maya was back on the 2nd and Elon was back on the 7th. They both
January 2nd?
On the 9th. They both started classes on the 9th. She went back January 2nd because she had to do sorority recruitment or whatever. And he went back on the 7th because there was a big Michigan State against Michigan game on Saturday night that he wanted to go to. So
that's a very big game.
Priorities. And
Lymor, his name is Elon.
Elon.
Beautiful name.
Thank
my
you.
My newest great grandchild's name is Elon also.
Here you go. It's a great name. And we spelled it with an E, E-L-A-N in English because he's named after my mother-in-law, Elaine.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So. And I thought I was being innovative when I named my daughter Maya. She's named after my husband's aunt, Michelle. I thought I was being innovative. And then when she was in 1st grade, there were 7 Mayas in the class.
Oh, it's a beautiful name.
It was
Maya's a beautiful name.
I have a granddaughter named Maya.
So
lovely name.
So yeah, all good, all good. I had to, the only requirement I had to fulfill was that my Israeli cousins could say the name. So couldn't have like a TH in it or, things that are just not, Israeli, so that my grandmother was alive when they were born. So anyway. All right. I think we're just waiting for Sharon, but we will start without her and she will join. I'm going to apologize again. I didn't send out the recording of Birkat Hamazon, but I have it on my list to do for this week. And so that will get done. The only suggestion that I had that somebody asked me to do is to go over the Friday night service and the Saturday morning service, the order of the service. So I'm definitely going to create a chart for you of both services. And we can kind of go through and look at it from the Siddur and see how it is. Let me pull up my Siddur here. You would think I would have the link here already. So let's go over Shabbat morning service and the order of it, and then we'll double back to Friday night because I think Sharon's the one that asked for it. She specifically asked for Friday night, but I thought you should have both. So I'm going to share my screen. And perfect. Okay. So there is in the morning service for both weekday and Shabbat and holidays, something called Pesukei de Zimra. And that is, let me actually pull that up here. That is, here it is, Pesukei de Zimra. And what that literally translates to is sentences of song. And so it's meant to just start. Let me make this bigger because
yes, bigger.
We can't see it. Better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So And this is weekday or Shabbat, where you have the Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lach V'Vina Lavchin B'Yom U'Vein Laila. You have these 10 blessings, and everybody says Amen after each one of these. And that starts out the verses of song, or the sentence, the sentences or verses of song. A lot of, there's a lot, it goes very fast. There's a lot of song in here, and it's basically like your warm-up, right? Before the real prayer. Hallelujah is in here. And they're not even, most of these are not even Psalms. They're just, some here you see devotional rabbinical texts. They come from all over. These happen to come, this right here, what I have on the screen happens to come from Mishnah, and then the paragraph where it says 3 here comes from Deuteronomy. So they're pulling different things, putting song to it to kind of gear you up. Let me find something good here. To gear you up for the actual prayer service. And at the end of each section, what they're going to do is they're going to have a Kaddish de Rabbanan, which is really, again, giving anybody a chance to say Kaddish. You will do a Kaddish de Rabbanan, you will study another Psalm, and then you will do a regular Kaddish. And that is so that if somebody's running late to services, they can get in a second, the Kaddish. So they do this, double thing. This specific de Rabbanan is for after you've studied a piece of text. Okay, and then they'll do a psalm, like, here you go, the psalm for Shabbat. And then they will go back to, and there's probably a couple of other psalms, and okay, they have everyday psalms, because the holidays could fall on any day. So they have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all of that. There's probably the new month psalm. This is for Elul. So they have all the Psalms in here, and they'll just skip and say, okay, now go to the Kaddish. Okay. So every section will end with a Kaddish, whether it's the mourner's Kaddish or a Chatzi Kaddish or a Kaddish Shalem, which is a full Kaddish. So when you get to a Kaddish that you're about to enter another section of the service. So you always have in the mornings, you have Pesuke de Zimra. And some call it PDZ for short. And then Shabbat morning, you would go into Shabbat Shacharit. And the first thing you do in Shacharit or Shabbat Shacharit is you say the Baruch Hu. Oh, let me make this bigger again. And this is basically the call to worship, where, imagine in the olden days, you had a trumpet or a ram's horn and you're calling everybody, it's time to pray. And that's all this is. And, again, the leader of the service is going to say, Baruch Hu et Adonai hamvorach, and then everybody's going to answer, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. And all we're saying is, bless God, the mighty King, and the congregation answers, bless God, the Almighty, forever and ever. And basically that is your answer. Like, they're like, are you here? We're about to pray. And everybody's like, we're here. We're ready to pray. We love God. Let's go. And most of this is silent. And on Shabbat morning, we have a song, El Adon, that we sing. It's an acrostic, if you look. And a lot of our prayers are acrostics because we didn't have prayer books for every single person like we do now. So people had to memorize. So this one, here's Aleph, here's Bet, Gimel, Daled, Hey, Vav, and that's the alphabet. And it's going to go all the way to Taf. So Shacharit starts with the Baruch Hu and ends with the Shema. I'm sorry, continues with the Shema and ends with the Amidah. So we'll flip through to the Shema, and there's a couple in between. So here's the Shema part. And right after the Shema is the Amidah. So when I make this chart, I will make it in a bell-shaped curve so that you see the height and the most kavanah, kavanah is like your worship and your meaning. The most meaningful part of the prayer is the Amidah. So you're always going to have a lead up to the Amidah, and then there's a bunch of different prayers within the Amidah, the 18 prayers, 19 prayers, and then you have the end of the service will tail off with, as we know, Oseh Shalom, Aleinu, a Kaddish, right? Sometimes if it's Musaf, or if it's Friday night, Adon Olam, right? Or Yigdal or something like that. But your Amidah is always your most concentrated prayer. Okay. So we have Pesukei de Zimra, which is the warm-up. We have Shacharit, which is one prayer service. Then Saturday morning, we do the Torah service, which is basically take out the Torah, read from the Torah, Haftorah, put away the Torah, right? But again, following what we said, where we're going to have a Kaddish to kind of have a comma in our day or in our service, right? So here's where we're taking out the Torah. Ein kamocha be'elohim Adonai, right? In the second paragraph here, Vayehi binso Aaron, Vayomer Moshe. So we're taking out the Torah, and then here, when the person taking out the Torah says Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, and we respond, and then they do the processional going through the kahal, and then they will put the Torah up on the, lay it down. Everyone can sit down, and then they start the Torah reading. And that's what this is here. Lots of different opportunities during the Torah service to say lots of blessings and thank God. So one of them is Birkat HaGomel. So after you've recovered from an illness or gone on a journey of some sort, any life-threatening, or could be life-threatening, when somebody went on a long journey, again, back in the old days, it was dangerous. So when we go on a trip and we come back, we thank God that we got home safely. When you go through childbirth, any type of surgery, any long injury, that sort of thing. And I'm actually very surprised that when we came back after COVID, we didn't do like this big Birkat HaGomel for anyone who had COVID or anything like that. But that's done, kind of publicly. Other ones are, let's see here. At an uproof before you're married. So there's this is kind of the special blessing during an aliyah or before an aliyah that you say. bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. And then between the 4th and 5th aliyot, we usually do a mishaberach for healing. And what else? Let's see what they have here. So here you have mother after childbirth, parents of a newborn daughter, mother, father, newborn son. And then between the 6th and 7th aliyah, a Kaddish is recited. Again, giving you a little break, letting you know something else is coming, which is putting away the Torah and taking and doing the Haftorah. And this is the Haftorah. And then we've put in here, and this is really more of an American thing, just so you know, if you go to Israeli services or services in other parts of the world, they don't necessarily have the prayer for our country, the prayer for the state of Israel in this section. That's something that we here in America have added. And then we bless the new month. So if the new month is coming in the next week before the next Shabbat, we stand up, we hold a Torah and bless the new month. We kind of have inserted a lot of things into this Torah service that are done only on Shabbat. And Ashrei is part of, excuse me, part of starting to put the Torah away. And then here's the recessional for the Torah being put away. Right? And we put the Torah away. We end with Eitz Chaim, right? Right here, we end with Eitz Chaim Hila Machasikim Ba, and close the ark, and then most conservative congregations, that's when the rabbi will speak, and then they'll do Musaf. And that's that little break in between those two services. So we have Pesukei Zimra, which is the opening and the warm up, your morning prayer service, your Torah service, and then we have something called Musaf. And what Musaf actually means in Hebrew is additional. So this is an additional service. It's not quite the afternoon service. It's not the evening service. It's an additional service that we do on Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, and any other holidays. And let's open this one. And Reform congregations don't do Musaf. Orthodox do. So you start the Musaf with a Chatzi Kaddish, right? That's your break in between your, maybe like your, if you go into a file cabinet, maybe it's the next tab in your file cabinet. And we start with the Amidah, right? So we have very, very little. If I told you about that bell curve, we have a very little bell curve during Musaf. We're just adding the Amidah and a couple of supplemental prayers at the end. It's not like Shacharit where we have a Baruch Hu and we have our Shema and then the Amidah. So we start with an Amidah here. I'm going to try not to make you dizzy as I scroll through. And then I am going to just scroll. And then, again, Kaddish Shalem, right? Again, so we do the Amidah. Then we have this Kaddish Shalem, which is, again, this, marker that we're going on to something else. And then we have a few, this is Shabbat morning. We have a few supplemental prayers in Kelohenu. Aleinu. And again, at the end of the service, we're gonna say Kaddish. And again, sometimes some congregations will do the Kaddish de Rabbanan, say a psalm, and come back and do Kaddish Yatom, which is the mourner's Kaddish. And then usually, you have some people do this Anim Zmirot, another supplemental prayer. This is actually in Aramaic. So even though it's written in Hebrew, it's Aramaic. And this also, oh, sorry, let me go back. I'm sorry to make you dizzy. This one also is an acrostic. And it starts here, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daled, Hey, Vav. And you see how it's a little bit darker in this Siddur. And then Adon Olam, which ends the service. So, so I'll make a chart for you, to show that. But that's the general gist of Shabbat morning. You have your warm up, your morning service, your Torah service, and then your Musaf, your additional service, which again is pretty short. If you go to shul and you get there on time, at 9 o'clock or whenever they start, usually about 20 minutes to half an hour is Pesukei de Zimra, depending on when they start. And then Shacharit lasts about 45 minutes. The Torah service could, depending on if you have an Afur for a bar mitzvah or things to celebrate or things to commemorate, that could take longer. And then again, the Musaf service is 45 minutes to an hour at the tail end of that. And it also depends on how long the rabbi speaks. For, some rabbis will speak for 15, 20 minutes. Some rabbis will speak for 45 minutes in between that. And some rabbis, our rabbi speaks before the Torah service and tells us something about the Torah portion. And then he actually gives a sermon after we put the Torah away. So he speaks twice, but he keeps it to I want to say 5 minutes on the first one and about 15 minutes on the second one. So in total, he's only speaking about 20 minutes. He's a man of not many words, but very, very poignant words. Like you're always thinking when you leave him, which is kind of nice.
Which rabbi is that, Lymor? Which rabbi?
Joel Pikowski at Congregation Beth Shalom in Teaneck.
Oh, yeah, I know his, I guess it's his brother. Yeah.
Michael?
Yes.
Yes, we know Michael.
Okay.
So yes, so that is him. So, our congregation is made up of a lot of rabbis that don't have a pulpit. Maybe they're JTS professors, maybe they're working in the community and that sort of thing. So to our congregation, it's very important that they had a learned rabbi, somebody who could make them think, because they know more than the average me person, but he does it in a way that doesn't make you feel stupid, which is nice. So if you don't know, he's not just talking to the learned people in the congregation. He has a wonderful way of doing it. And I think that's why he's been our rabbi for so long. I want to say that he's been the rabbi for 15 years.
Yeah. Larry Pitkowski is the one that I know. I'm sorry. Larry Pitkowski.
Larry?
Yeah. His wife is Lori and Larry.
Gotcha. That must be an uncle or something, because there's only two brothers. We know the family well. Michael and Joel are the two brothers. The father is Jerry. The mother's Judy. She's actually a member of Women's League of Sisterhood.
Right.
Jerry and Judy are the parents, but maybe Jerry has a brother.
Right. Okay. Whatever.
Could be. Who knows?
The name Pitkowski is not so usual.
No, it's not. It's not. And they're from this area. So, they,
that's right.
They grew up, the rabbi and his brother grew up in Fairlawn. So
yes, that's right. Same family.
Right. It's not uncommon that you would know them, being you're like a half an hour south of me. So
yes.
Yeah. So anyway, But yeah, great family and wonderful. Okay. So like I said, I'll get a chart of that. And I'll wait for Sharon next week and we'll do Friday night, the same thing. And I will record Birkat Hamazon for you. I have that. What else are we looking to master before the end of class? And let me just, I'll tell you, we've gone over everything that we need to go over for the advanced beginner class, but we have time. So I definitely want to, go through it. The intermediate class, which I think we're going to start like mid-Feb, we're just going to keep going. So we'll do the intermediate class. We'll go another 2-3 weeks on this, and then we'll start the intermediate class. But I do have to send out an email and see if anybody else wants to join our class that, is part of other advanced classes that finished in the fall. But we go through we again go through Friday night, Saturday morning prayers. We delve into a little bit more about what they mean. And Hatikva. We talked about Birkat Hamazon. Yeah, so we don't have that. I mean, again, it's just about, I want to make sure that you're comfortable in shul, following along, reading, and that sort of thing. And if there's something you don't understand, then I want that. I want you to have that too, so that, the ultimate goal is for you to go to shul and be comfortable. And honestly, pick up where they're at, right? So if you walk into a shul, especially if it's not your shul, but if you walk into a shul and you hear a Kaddish going on, then you're like, okay, they're at the end of something. We're about to start something else. Let me listen and see if I know what that is. You don't have to know the page number. You don't have to know anything about it. But it would be great if you walked in and you're like, oh, I know exactly where they are in the service.
After the Shema, Lymor, that's the Ahafta, right? I don't know did we ever go over that?
No, but we can go over that. The Ve'ahavta is part of the Shema. The Shema has 3 paragraphs. Let me open up the Siddur. Let's go for Shabbat morning. And I'll share my screen in 1 second after I finish making myself dizzy looking for it. And then I will share my screen. Okay, so now let me go here and share my screen. Here we are. Okay, so you have the Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, which is I think it's the most known prayer that we have. When Bill Clinton was first elected into the presidential office, elected president, he went to a service and someone noticed that Hillary was saying the Shema. So they asked her and she said, well, I don't know. I grew up in Parker, Illinois, and I went to mitzvahs and I know the Shema just because it's completely recognizable. And it's said in every service, right? It said morning, noon, it said morning, afternoon, evening service, and you're supposed to say it before you go to bed. So religious people say this 4 times a day. The first paragraph afterwards is the Ve'ahavta, and we'll go over that in a second. I just want to show you. And then there's the second paragraph, Ve'haya, and then the third paragraph, so give me 1 second to scroll through. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe Lymor. Sometimes they'll do this one out loud, but they end it with Adonai Elohechem Emet. And then there's one bracha after the Shema. And that leads us into standing up and starting the Amidah. But it's important to know what we're talking about. So the Ve'ahavta, and a word that has in it, sorry, I'm going to flip back and forth now. Ve'ahavta has a root, every Hebrew word has a root word in it. This root word is aleph, hey, vet, and that means love. Ahava means love. Ahavti, love. So ve'ahavta, in the Bible, in the Torah, ve in front of a word is very, very common because it's kind of the royal end. And so it appears a lot in the Torah that a ve comes in front of a word. So now I just want to go to the English because I think this is so important because, by the way, these paragraphs of the Shema are in your mezuzah also. And they're also in the boxes of tefillin that are on your head and your arm. So I think it's important that we kind of go over the English. So it says, you shall love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you on this day, you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Recite them at home and away, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. That's the tefillin. And as a reminder above your eyes. That's the tefillin. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your home and upon your gates. That's the mezuzah. Second paragraph, which we usually say silently. If you earnestly heed the mitzvot I give you on this day, to love Adonai your God and to serve God with all your heart and all your soul, then I will favor your land with rain in the proper season in autumn and in spring, and you will have an ample harvest of grain, wine, and oil. And we take this sentence to mean that I will provide for you, right? If you do my mitzvot, I will provide for you. I will assure abundance in the fields for your cattle. You will eat to contentment. Take care lest you be tempted to stray and worship false gods, for then Adonai's wrath will be directed against you. God will close the heavens and hold back the rain. The earth will not yield its produce. You will soon disappear from the good land which Adonai is giving you. Therefore, impress these words of mine upon my heart. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, again, tefillin. Let them be a reminder above your eyes, tefillin. Teach them to your children. Repeat them at home and away, night and day. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes, mezuzah, and upon your gates. Then your days and the days of your children on the land that Adonai swore to give your ancestors will endure as the days of the heavens over the earth. So we say this 3 times a day. And you know how sometimes we kind of may say about some overzealous religious people that they're like, well, it's okay. God will provide. God will do for us, right? This is where it comes from because we say it so much that if we just worship God, God will provide for us. God will take care of us. And then let's go to the third paragraph in English, just so you have it again. And this one, sometimes we say also, sorry, I'm going to scroll again. Sometimes we say this one out loud also. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Israel ve'amarta alehem v'asu lahem tzitzit. We say tzitzit here 3 times, and people that wear taluses will then kiss the tzitzit of the talus when they're saying that. So sometimes we say that out loud, but again, let's go to the English. I just want you to know what it is. Now, again, this is coming. So sorry, I'm going to scroll back again. I'm so sorry. I don't want to give you guys so this part of the Shema, the Ve'ahavta, is from, I thought it was from Torah. Yes, it's from Deuteronomy, the early part of Deuteronomy, the last book of the Torah. And it continues in Deuteronomy. The last paragraph, and now you know, I don't know if you know, Deuteronomy is a retelling of everything that happened up until then in the Torah. So a lot of times when you see something in Deuteronomy, it will refer back to something that happened earlier in the Torah. So this last paragraph is from Numbers. which is the book before Devarim. So it's now referencing this. Adonai said to Moses, instruct the people of Israel that in every generation they will put tzitzit on the corners of the garments, find a tzitzit, a fringe on each corner. Reminded of all the mitzvot Adonai and fulfill them, and not be seduced by your heart nor led astray by your eyes. Then you will remember and observe all my mitzvot and be holy before your God. I am Adonai your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God who is truth. So, is it a wonder that we say this 3 times a day? Or 4, sorry. Is it a wonder that this is, this is us kind of committing to the mitzvot of that God gave us? And the first part, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai is one. Hear, O Israel, our God is one God, right? That's different from other religions, which is why we kind of yell it from the rooftops. So, okay. So let's start to read V'ahavta. I'll make it a little bit bigger, actually. So we have, can everybody see it, or do I need to move it on the screen a little bit?
What page is that?
This, let's see. I'll tell you. It is page in Lev Shalem 155.
Oh, okay.
All right. Tell me when you're there, Terry.
You have to move it over to the left a little bit.
To the left?
Because I can't see, yeah.
Better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. So let's start. How about I say the first line and then I'll call on one of you to say the first line. Okay. And that way you'll know where we're stopping. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha. Sandra, why don't you start? Again, I'm sorry, before you start, I'm so sorry. It's difficult to read this when you know it, because you may be saying it a certain way with a certain accent, with a certain whatever. So just take it easy and see that you can see the words as you're reading them. Don't just read them by rote. Okay, Sandra, go ahead. Sorry.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha.
Right, nafshecha.
Nafshecha.
I don't know if you remember the rule that we talked about. When 2 shvas are in a sentence with no vowels, the first one is the silent one, and the second one makes the sound, right?
Yeah.
Nafshecha.
Nafshecha.
So that's where that comes from. Okay, I'll read the next line. Uvechol me'odecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha. Libby, why don't you try?
V'chol me'odecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha.
Okay. Hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam beshivtecha. Terry.
Hayom al levavecha Vishi non techa? No. Vishi not noon?
Non-tom.
Tom.
Yep.
Leva neha.
Mm-hmm.
Vudi bar taha.
Uh-huh.
Bam Bashi taha.
Perfect. Ah, you got it. It was a hard one too. When I read it, I'm like, oh no, Terry's getting the hard one. Beveitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot. Sandra?
Bewetecha uvelechtecha vaderech uvshechecha uvkumecha ukeshartam leot.
Yep. This is, by the way, over here. Uvshoch becha. See how the kamatz katan is like separated? That means it's a kamatz katan, which means you should say o instead of a. But again, nobody, if you say it wrong when everybody's singing it, nobody's gonna know, nobody's gonna care. So don't worry about it. I bring it up because I want you to learn the right way, but again, it's not at shul, it's not gonna make a difference. So don't stress over it. Okay. Al yadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha. Go ahead, Libby. Just that one.
Al yadecha vahayu letotafot bein einecha.
All right, Terry. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvish arecha.
Tam al
Mezuzot. Yep, good.
Mezuzot. Be techa. Uv show ad Reka.
Yep. U vish a recha. Right? Just giving you all the syllables. U vish a recha. Okay. And I will put a link into the Ve'ahavta in the email I send you. Very similar to the ones that I did before, and you can probably find it yourself if you want. In those links where the Nusach page, which gives you that, and then you can make it slower. Remember that? You can make it slower. Remember that page I gave you? I'll find that page again. I'll direct you right to the Shema and Ve'ahavta, and you can listen to it while you've got it up in there. Libby, in Sim Shalom, I'll give you the page number so you can write it down.
Okay.
So in your big Sim Shalom, it's going to be page 346. I'm going to check.
Yes.
There you go, 346. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I owe you, and I'll get that to you before tomorrow evening. Birkat Hamazon, a chart of the services, and the link to the Ahavta.
That would be great.
Okay, and I'll get that to you before. Yeah.
Right, Lymor, I'm really sorry, but next Sunday night I have a bat mitzvah party reception,
Amazing.
which is
Amazing.
wonderful. But I'll be missing the class. I'm sorry
That's
about
okay.
that.
You know that it's always taped. It's on the WLCJ website. So don't worry about that. It's always there. And if you have trouble or if you have anything, email me, give me a call. We'll set up a time to go over it, whatever you need
Thank
again.
you.
And
Thank you so much.
I still want you guys to send me topics of things that you want to go over. Next week I'm going to go over Friday night, and then we'll do Friday night at home, meaning Shabbat candles, the full Kiddush, blessing the children, and Hamotzi. And we'll review Birkat Hamazon since you'll have time to hopefully go over it this week. All right, so that's what I plan on doing next week. And if I have no ideas from you guys, then we're going to start the intermediate stuff. And I'm going to send an email out to Julia. What is her name? Julia. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Believe I'm blanking on her last name.
It's not Rachel. No.
No, it's Julia.
And
Can't remember. She runs the Hebrew program. She's actually going to be our next Women's League president. And so, yes, Sarah, we can go over Psalm 130. Hallelujah. Okay. And I will send her an email so she can send out an email to anybody who was in the advanced beginner if they want to join our intermediate. And then
it'll be the same, it'll be continuing the same time.
It'll be the same time, same link, same everything. They're actually not opening up a new semester of classes for like beginners and things like that because Julia is going to be the next president. So they're going to let the new education chair set up and run her own, way of doing Hebrew and that sort of thing. It's just a way an easy way to transition it. So they basically left it up to the teachers. Do you want to teach the next section? Let me know, that sort of thing. And then they'll let everybody who's an existing know. And the same thing with I have a beginner class that will start up again. And anybody that wants to go to advanced beginner that was in a beginner class where their teacher is not teaching it, or they want a different time, they can join into that class too. So, all right, but this will be at the same time. I like this Sunday night time. So.
Thank you, Lymor. It was a wonderful class. Thank you.
And I hope that if your synagogues are doing Sisterhood Shabbat this week, that you're going or dialing in or however you go to shul. It should be a nice time, especially since many shuls haven't done Sisterhood Shabbat since the pandemic, since right before we shut down. So, all right.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good
Take
night.
care. Have a great week, everyone.
You too. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.